Today, we are going to discuss a very important and sensitive topic: 5 ways of having sex that will make a woman ask you to stop. This topic may feel uncomfortable, but it is very important to understand. Intimacy is not limited to the physical body. It is a combination of emotional safety, trust, communication, and respect. When these aspects are ignored, sex and intimacy become nothing more than pressure, discomfort, and stress. A woman asking to stop is not a random reaction. It is a clear signal that her boundaries or emotional comfort have been ignored. In this speech, we will explain these 5 negative ways that not only make the physical experience uncomfortable, but also damage the relationship and emotional bond. Ignoring a woman's comfort and emotional readiness is perhaps the most damaging factor when it comes to intimacy. This is not just a momentary lapse in judgment or carelessness. It is a pattern that has far-reaching consequences for emotional health, trust, and long-term relationship satisfaction. When intimacy begins without ensuring that a woman feels emotionally safe and ready, it immediately triggers defensive responses in her mind and body. Even if there is no physical harm, the psychological impact can be profound. The human brain is wired to associate physical closeness with emotional safety. When that safety is absent, the experience becomes stressful, uncomfortable, and in many cases, traumatic. A woman may feel cornered, pressured, or unheard, and asking to stop is her natural response to regain control over her personal boundaries. This reaction is protective, not confrontational. It signals that something fundamental is missing in the interaction, mutual understanding, empathy, and respect. When her emotional readiness is ignored repeatedly, the cumulative effect can be severe. She may begin to internalize feelings of frustration, resentment, or fear. These feelings do not stay confined to the bedroom, they spill over into the overall emotional dynamics of the relationship. Trust, which is essential for any intimate connection, begins to erode. She may start questioning her partner's respect for her, her value in the relationship, or even her own voice and agency. Over time, this diminishes not only her desire for intimacy, but also her willingness to emotionally engage in the relationship. Emotional withdrawal can manifest as reduced communication, detachment, and even a general sense of dissatisfaction in the partnership. What begins as a simple moment of ignored consent can escalate into a pattern where intimacy becomes associated with discomfort, stress, and a lack of safety. This is further compounded by the fact that women are often socialized to prioritize their partner's needs over their own. Many women may not immediately voice discomfort or refusal, attempting to comply in order to avoid conflict or emotional tension. However, this suppression of feelings only amplifies the negative impact internally. The mind and body are still registering the stress and emotional discomfort, which can eventually lead to long-term psychological strain. Chronic exposure to situations where emotional readiness is ignored may lead to anxiety, mistrust, and even avoidance of intimacy altogether. In extreme cases, the woman may feel that her boundaries are routinely disregarded, and this can create deep emotional scars that are difficult to repair. Preventing these outcomes requires active attention, empathy, and communication. Emotional readiness cannot be assumed, it must be confirmed. A simple pause, a question, or an awareness of nonverbal cues can make the difference between a mutually satisfying experience and a harmful one. When a partner listens, respects boundaries, and prioritizes emotional comfort, it not only prevents harm, but also builds trust, closeness, and authentic desire. In short, ignoring comfort and readiness is not a minor mistake. It is a direct threat to emotional health, relationship, quality, and the longevity of intimacy. Respecting a woman's emotional space is the foundation on which meaningful, safe, and fulfilling intimacy is built. When communication breaks down during intimacy, the consequences can be profound, both emotionally and psychologically. Many men assume that physical cues or a lack of verbal objection automatically signal consent or comfort, but this is a dangerous misconception. Intimacy is a two-way process that relies on active awareness, sensitivity, and ongoing consent. When these elements are missing, what should be a shared moment of connection can quickly transform into an experience of stress, fear, or resentment. Women are highly attuned to emotional cues, and even subtle signs of discomfort, hesitation, silence, fidgeting, or withdrawal can indicate that the interaction is not entirely consensual or emotionally safe. Ignoring these signals does not merely create temporary discomfort, it begins to erode trust, which is the foundation